But let's bring in Davis Sanchez. Let's bring in Davis, who I'm sure has tingles listening to this CFL talk there, as he's obviously just fresh off the set of SportsCenter. How you doing, Davis?
I didn't know my guy Nick Lewis was going to be on today.
Oh, it's a big day. It's opening day, man. We brought out all the heavy hitters.
Nick is my much respect for the Hall of Famer, but Nick is my arch nemesis and arch rival. What's up, my man?
How you doing, brother? We don't compete no more. I said we don't compete no more. We just support each other.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be good. We're probably too old to wrestle around the ground and fight me bite your knees like I used to.
Davis, it is opening night in the Canadian Football League. Can you give me your thoughts on tonight's Winnipeg-Hamilton game and the excitement across this nation? I think you'd have to have no feeling to not feel what people are, just this crest of excitement across Canada.
Yeah, you know what? Appreciation is the word I keep using. And I just, and Nick can attest to this, and guys who have played in the league, when football is taken away from you, you realize how much it meant to you and how much you miss it. And what a unique opportunity for these guys playing right now. Football was taken from them. And when you heard the merger conversation, especially for Canadian players, a lot of those guys, you got to be, if you want to be honest, they were probably done with football. That was it. And then all of a sudden you get a shot, boom, and the league's coming back and your career's back. So, I mean, it's just appreciation and us as that cover it, that are fortunate enough to cover it, media and fans. I mean, it's just, we all love this game. And so to be back, we were back in the studio yesterday. It was a ton of fun just being around and just, I think all of us are grateful, and not in a corny way, but just in a real, genuine way, that we love to talk to each other about this game. We love to watch the game, and it's a big part of. It's been a big part of all of our lives. It's been a key to my life the last 30 years. So it's big.
I had Tyrone Brackenridge on the air the other night, and he said that the guys are in their happy place. Right, and the fans will be in their happy place when these stadiums fill up for these games. I want to get your take, Nick, in a moment, but first, Davis's on the game that's not getting any love, Calgary-Toronto at McMahon on Saturday. That to me is my marquee game. Charleston Hughes returning to McMahon with the Argos and his new team. General Imroleth on YouTube says the Stamps are going to smoke the Argos. I can't wait to see the point spread on this. I don't know. I'm thinking Toronto could pull off the upset. What's your take on that game?
Yeah, 5. I'm looking down here. I see 5. Calgary as a 5-point favorite right now is what I see. It sounds about right. I mean, this probably, I don't know if this game doesn't get the love, Rod, but it definitely is the one that there's a lot of unknown. I mean, I don't know what to expect from Toronto. And I will say this, the one thing I expect Bo to be really good if he's healthy, which I haven't had a chance to get to practice at all, and either have many of us, but if he's healthy, I think he has a point to prove, and I think he's be really good early on. And, when you have two teams that will probably struggle a bit, and we all think, and Milt talked about this, that there's going to be a lack of scoring early because just they've been off so long, and the continuity and the timing and just not having preseason games. But when you have that, the one thing I think can be a big advantage is a quarterback and a OC and head coach in Dickey. Those guys on the same page, I think, will be the difference maker when it comes to if there's a struggle and a lack of points. These guys can put together, I think, some drives and some big plays when needed. But I think Bo will be really, really good because he's kind of not fallen off, but he's kind of fallen off the radar just because he's been injured and what's happened. But he's still wants to, as Nick would know, he want to come out there and let everybody know he's still the big dog when it comes to quarterbacks in this league.
Nick, what do you think is going to go down Saturday? Argos Stamps.
Man, I think it's going to be an exciting game. If you look at the Argos roster, what they've done, you talk about salary cap, but Shane Ray is one of those guys that's going to go out there and be explosive. And I know if you line up on the other side of Charleston, great things happen, right? We've seen it time and time again for the last 10 years. Defensive ends on the other side of Charleston's, things happen. And for Charleston to get that line early, for the Toronto defense, I don't know what their back end's going to do, but I know with a good pressure front, it helps the back end. And, their receiving corps, they probably have about 8 starting receivers over there in Toronto. So Calgary has one of the more athletic backfields on defense. So I think if Calgary come out, control the run game with Kadeem Carey and be able to do that, allow Bo to be in second and medium all day, they'll win the game. But I'll tell you what, after 4 or 5 weeks, Toronto's going to be a tough team to beat.
Davis, we got a question here from John in Winnipeg. It's an NFL-related question. As you are Chargers alum, John wants to know if you see the NFL ever going back to America's finest city. What do you think?
I doubt it. Teams always want to get to LA. It's just bigger market, and if anything, they'll probably have a third team in LA before they went back to San Diego. Sadly enough, I just don't think the corporate dollars are big enough in that city. They're good enough to support a team, no question. But these greedy owners want to be in LA. There's just so much more opportunities for money for them.
Back to the CFL for a second. Another game that's not getting a much love compared to these ones on the prairies, I feel, is Edmonton, Ottawa, Saturday night. And again, Nick, I'll get your take on that in a moment. But yours, Davis, there's a lot of people that are buying stock in the Edmonton Elks. There's a lot of talent there with the first-year coach and Jamie Elizondo. What do you? Year one? How good?
I'm buying stock. Yeah. A lot of my biggest bets for this offseason were slamming the Edmonton Elks at plus 1,300. That's 13-1 for those who don't know the betting markets. But I mean this is a team that's absolutely loaded. I mean if they get their tackle situation figured out, they're going to be deadly. Trevor Harris is so efficient. You got Walker, Ellingson, even Armani Edwards. I'm flipping through the things a couple weeks ago and didn't even realize that he was over there. They're going to be tough. And when we look at Ottawa, I said it once. I'll keep on saying it. Their roster, this is not a knock. Marcel's a sharp guy. And he's built teams. But they have a weak roster. They're just plain and simply, they're not as talented as everybody else. But when you have Lapo, when you have Benny, you have an opportunity. So I think Ottawa will be better than guys like me think, looking on paper. But they're going to be better because Matt Nichols plays out of his mind, and their coordinators call heck of a game. Because if you just line up man for man and talent wise, the reality is they're just not at par with the other teams.
I'll get Nick's take on that game next segment. Just while we have you, Davis, we've talked about every other game, but the one at Mosaic Stadium will be the first sellout crowd in Canadian sports.
I'll be there.
Yeah, since the pandemic began. That alone is emotional for what's going to go on at Mosaic Stadium. BC Lions, it's Saskatchewan Roughriders, nationally televised on TSN. What's your initial thoughts on the matchup in the game?
Well, is Mike Riley healthy? That's the first thing. He hasn't practiced, they've said, all week. So I don't know if you heard anything today. I haven't seen anything yet. He practiced yesterday. But, I mean, his health has got to be a question if it's been that long. So that's obviously the first thing. And the second thing I want to see is who's going to rush the passer for BC. There's a couple young guys. One guy, I don't have his name on the top of my head, but they're comparing him. And they're hesitant to say the name Willie J, but they're comparing him to Willie Jefferson, his length, how athletic he is. He was a former wide receiver in college, and so this guy can get after the passer. They need that. That's one thing I look at their roster. And you look at the front sevens, nobody we've even heard of for the most part. J.R. Tavai, really the only one that I can think of. So we'll see what happens with them get after the quarterback. But on Sask's side, it's the offensive line, Rod. You know those guys starting, I believe, 4 Canadians over there. And what are they going to look like? They obviously lost some pretty good players. And how's that offensive line going to look? Their skill players are as good as any, and their receiving core. And I like their defense, but I am concerned with that offensive line. And we'll see how they come together. They're going to need to step up. 3 Sask boys starting on that old line. It's they're going to get a lot of credit if they do well, but they're under the spotlight for sure.
Yeah, like that is what everybody's talking about. Nick smiling. That O-line. We'll find out on Friday night. And you talk about that rush end for the Lions. I don't know who it is either, man. We got to watch TSN. We got to watch the games, right? And that's we got to sell it, right?
We got to sell it.
We got to sell this league and watch the games. Davis, loving what you're doing as always. Thanks for the time today, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Hey, nice to see you guys. Keep talking the good CFL talk. I'll say this: this is one time we don't have to sell it anymore. It's I think everybody wants to see what's going to happen. So for once, I don't think we need to sell it. It's going to be great.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, Davis, I'm going to be reaching out to you soon, brother.
Holler. Keep doing the good work, my man.
There you go. All right, CFL on TSN's Davis Sanchez, NFL, CFL veteran.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.